I'm so excited to share with you some good news for small towns all across America. I didn't grow up in a small town. I grew up in Florida, but I'm a transplant to small towns, and I've been here for about 20 years. So in the audience, if you'll raise your hands, how many of you have grown up and raised in a small town? You love it? I love it. Let me give you some info. In the United States, there are just over 19,500 incorporated communities. That includes both large cities and small towns. And this knocked my hat in the creek. Of those incorporated communities, 97% have populations of 50,000 or less. 85% have populations of 10,000 or less. That's amazing. That makes up a majority of our land area. So unfortunately, for all the good things that small towns give us as far as quality of life and knowing your neighbor and getting across town in 15 minutes, the struggle is real with small towns in America. Since the recession in 2008, we have seen a decrease in population overall. This chart right here shows you 100 years back. The population was about 50-50 in urban areas and rural areas. And you can see the green goes across. The population in rural areas has stayed about the same while urban areas has increased dramatically. This little zigzag chart is a little bit confusing, but focus on the circle. For the first time in recorded history since the recession in 2008, we have seen a decrease overall in population in rural cities. And that is from net migration as well as natural change. Net migration is the difference between people moving into your community and moving out, and natural change are the difference between births and deaths. This map shows you that since the recession, there's widespread decrease in population. People are moving to the metro areas. So there's lots of common issues that our small towns are dealing with, and our small town has dealt with it too. Number one, there's not a lot of options for dining and recreation and shopping. Also, it's become more and more difficult to attract new residents and retain, especially the younger demographic, and then also attract businesses. And then we've seen a very large increase of people leaving for urban areas to find jobs because of the loss of manufacturing. And unfortunately, this causes great dissatisfaction. And because of the internet and social media, people seem to whine and complain about where they live. And so the traditional route of economic development, attracting jobs, is to develop land and buildings so that you can attract manufacturing. And unfortunately, that process can be extremely expensive, slow, and competitive. So about 8 years ago, there was a white paper published about this concept of placemaking. And placemaking, let me read it to you, the concept. In creative placemaking, partners from public, private, nonprofit, and community sectors strategically shape the physical and social character of a neighborhood, town, city, or region around arts and cultural activities. Creative placemaking animates public and private spaces, rejuvenates structures and streetscapes, improves local business viability and public safety, and brings diverse people together to celebrate, inspire, and be inspired. Essentially, it puts arts and culture at the heart of quality of life by creating spaces for the community to come together, and the result is economic development. Where traditionally it may be expensive, slow, and competitive, placemaking changes the game. It is inexpensive, immediate, and it focuses more on differentiation, what's special about your community, as opposed to competing against what other communities have. About 1.5 years ago, a group of volunteers got together to kick off a monthly artisan festival. We called it Cersei Beats and Eats, and it focuses on gathering the community together so they can spend time together and communicate with each other. And we centered it around arts and artisans and music and food, of course. If you're getting together, you might as well be eating. And our mission, as drafted by one of our committee members, reads as such: to promote unity and growth in our community by providing a place for artisans, musicians, and entrepreneurs to share their craft while facilitating an environment that encourages conversation in a family-friendly way. We didn't know it, but how closely we were mirroring this concept of placemaking. And so almost immediately, as soon as we started launching these events, we noticed that the tone of our community went from whining to positivity. Here's just a few of the comments that we received. Beats and Eats in downtown Searcy was a blast. I love my town and the people that make it so great. Searcy Beats and Eats is awesome. If you haven't been, make plans to do so next month. I love supporting locals and seeing so many of my friends. I had a great night at Beats and Eats with these amazing people. I sure did make unforgettable memories with these amazing people, and I can truly say they're my family. And the comments kept coming and coming, and all of a sudden we noticed that there was a sense of improvement, of positivity that was coming across our community. At the same time, we launched what we call the Think Art Project. And the Think Art Project is to install artwork across the community and create spaces focused on artisans. And here's how this reads. The Think Art Project is an initiative to improve quality of life, increase tourism, and encourage relocation to our community through the power of art in its many forms. It is the organized effort of enhancing both public and private spaces by providing assistance in logistics, collaboration, and promotion between municipal, county, corporate, private, and artisan resources. What we wanted to install were community murals, sculptures, light features, water features, creative landscapes, and rehab eyesore areas. And we wanted to have a baseline so that we knew that we were achieving our goals. And so we wanted to make sure that the artwork had local or historical significance. If it was inspiring, did it move you? Did it highlight diversity? Did it have a positive connotation? And would it have a tourism draw? Our very first project that we tackled was an iconic building in our downtown area, the Qualabong Music Building. And we utilized local artists to submit ideas for us. We had about 17 submitted. So here's a local artist, Tara Peacock, who was awarded the job. And the artwork that she designed had lyrics from Arkansas Native musicians. And so it had that personal draw to the people that would see it. And as you can notice here, this is a funny picture, but on the left, you'll notice as they were still painting the mural, the paint was still wet. You have wedding pictures on the left, and we had a couple come into town to take their engagement pictures on the right. So we have life-changing moments all happening right here in front of this mural, and we knew we had something special going, and people were coming to enjoy it. And so we had a dedication ceremony, and immediately this mural became an iconic landmark here in our downtown, and is probably the #1 place that people come to have their photographs made right now. Placemaking. We also like to form partnerships. That's key to placemaking. Here we have some rundown public basketball courts, and we partner with local elementary schools. And we allowed the students to work with professional artists to create designs for these basketball courts. And they were able to come and paint on the courts themselves during school time for a field trip. And not only was it a wonderful experience, but after they were done, they would invite their families and friends to come see their artwork, and they had a pride for the artwork that they helped to create. Beautiful before and after. Probably the most impressive as far as results project that we've tackled so far is this back alleyway behind buildings in our downtown area. It was run down, not safe, and not utilized at all. And so we wanted to flip it on its head and turn a negative into a positive. So again, we got with a group of volunteers to clean up the alleyway with really no budget at all to work with. And so we created an event where the first Friday of every month, artists would come paint live, and the public was invited to come witness live painting. And the first month we had 6 artists, and we hung lights overhead to create an atmosphere for evening time. The next month we had 12 artists. The next month we had 30. And within 4 to 5 months, we had over 90 artists sign up to participate, to come together. These are all local artisans coming together to share their craft. They just needed an opportunity to express themselves. Local businesses started utilizing this opportunity to sell their food. And all of a sudden we got statewide recognition from news media. Why? Why was it so important? Hundreds and hundreds of people would come once a month to witness the artists and the musicians. And all of this art was from our local artisans. It became a destination almost immediately. So much so that the city took notice, and they decided to invest some money and repave this back alleyway. And the local newspaper even stated, hey, this is bizarre. Why would the city want to invest money into putting blacktop in a back alleyway? What is so special about this? Well, this is a solution that small towns can utilize, this idea of placemaking. The secret sauce is to engage with locals. They love their town, and so your town exists already in the town that you're already in, to form key partnerships and to create a simple process so that it can operate. For example, engaging with historians who can dig deep into the story of your community. Artisans are the ones to tell the story. Fundraisers, so you have the funding to make it happen. Educators, so they can prepare the artists for the future. Marketers to spread the word, and volunteers to make all of this happen. Key partnerships are the key to making all this happen and having the projects go through quickly. Partnerships with city departments like code enforcement and your municipal departments, parks and recreation, your Main Street programs, chambers of commerce, arts council, schools, and the process so that it all can function smoothly. At first, you start with sharing the vision, what the end goal is that you want to achieve, and then you break that down into milestones, and then break that down further into individual tasks so everybody knows what to do, and then have a communication strategy. Every small town has a story, and if you're able to tap into placemaking to tell that story and utilize locals who it's important to them to get involved, then there's a value and a credit to that. And it has done wonders for positivity for our small town, and we know that small towns all across America can benefit from it too. Thank you.